Donald Trump held his re-election campaign kickoff rally in Orlando, Florida, and there were, I'd like to say that there were moments that were different, something interesting to talk about, but really the thing that stood out to me was that there was a lot of recycling of Trump talking points, very similar to what you heard back in 2016. He is basically doing the same thing this time around. For instance, he attacked Democrats, the most obvious thing in the world, went after the media over and over again. He also whined about how unfair everything is and how he's being mistreated and how he's the victim of a witch hunt. He still refers to himself as an underdog, which is incredible because he is the president of the United States. And he lied a lot. And so we're gonna do some fact checking in this story and give you some highlights from his rally speech. Let's take a look at the first clip.
Instead of bringing us together as one America, Democrats want to splinter us into factions and tribes. They want us divided. Not going to happen to the Republicans anymore. It's not going to happen. This election is not merely a verdict on the amazing progress we've made. It's a verdict on the un-American conduct of those who tried to undermine our great democracy and undermine you.
So I thought that was an important video to share because one of the biggest mistakes that I think Democrats made the last time around was undermining how much of his populist messaging, even though it's not genuine, how much of that populist messaging really resonates with his voters. And when he says something like, they're coming for you, they don't respect you, when he really taps into that anger, it not only resonates, it gets people fired up and they become even more active, even more fervent in their support for him. And so I just want everyone to be on notice about that because it's wrong to underestimate how much that message resonates with his voters.
Yeah, I mean, I distinctly remember one of the Trump in the last election campaign in Michigan said one of the best political lines I've ever heard in my life. He said, it used to be that we made cars in Detroit and you couldn't drink the water in Mexico. Now, or you couldn't drink, you made cars in Flint, you couldn't drink the water in Mexico. Now we make cars in Mexico and you can't drink the water in Flint. And the thing is, he was 100% right about that.
He was right. I mean, he didn't do anything to solve the clean water issue. In fact, he exacerbated the issue by rolling back any type of EPA regulation that was passed under previous administrations.
Of course, but that's the what you're talking about, like that populist messaging that he has. He's actually quite effective at it. And last time around, Hillary Clinton was just the worst possible person we could have picked to counter that message, right? So I think Democrats will have to be very careful in this time around to find someone who can actually counter that kind of populist messaging.
You're absolutely right, and that's what a lot of people said about the whole Bernie Sanders would have been a better opponent for him because he was also a populist in many ways. What I find interesting, first of all, is that he's sitting there going, these people will divide us.
Right.
His rhetoric is all about dividing. He's got one black dude in the background. I mean, he's saying I'm bringing people together. There's always one black guy. If you look at that clip, there's one black dude in the background, and the whole thing of like when he says, we're not going to stay. Look at that. There's one guy on the over his right shoulder. You see that guy with the goatee? One black, and he's saying, "Bring us together." I think in a way he fires up his base, who are like, "Yes, white people, we're going to stick together," and that one black guy's like, "Yes, we will." So it for someone who's got divisive politics as an immigrant, I feel like in his eyes, my community is a no-no. It's a show. I mean, we are. I mean, I'm Iranian American, so we're on the travel ban. So it's like, how are you bringing us together? You're separating people with the travel ban. You're separating communities. I have people within the community that are arguing with each other. So he's not bringing people together. But for him to get up there and have the gall to say that, and then for them to clap is what you guys were saying. It's the populist message going like, yeah, you're right. Like even though we're doing what you're saying that you don't want to do, we are gonna fix it, and they're doing it. You know what I'm saying?
It is incredible. I mean, look, the Democrats have a hard time unifying within their own party. I'm pretty sure that they're not thinking about ways to divide the Republican Party. And if he's talking about broader unification, right? Yeah, I mean, what is the first thing that Trump did once he was inaugurated? He puts out a tweet indicating that transgender members of the military will no longer be part of the military, right? That was beyond divisive. That is a way of separating people, dividing people. Then he goes into his immigration policy, the travel ban. I mean, these policies are meant to divide Americans.
Well, his first announcement was the whole Mexicans being rapists. And I mean, these are all, by the way, I feel like we're arguing things that we've been talking about for 3 years. But the fact is, what you also alluded to at the beginning, it's his greatest hits. Like, it hasn't changed. Like, his rallies are like another Fast and the Furious. It's like, we've seen it before. We know what's gonna happen. You know, there's gonna be a car chase. Vin Diesel's gonna win. You know, we all know what's gonna happen.
Or
right?
another episode of The Housewives, right? Like, it's always the same thing. Someone plans a party, everyone goes to the party, they get into some drama, and then they talk about each other during the one-on-one interviews, and then we're all amused, but that's a reality show. This is the United States of America, this is government, and we should have a better leader.
And in his case, because he keeps eating Big Macs, it's becoming the Fat and the Furious. So I just had to get that out. I'm sorry if I don't want to offend anybody who's heavy. Just wanted to say.
Big Macs are good. It's a good sandwich.
It's a good sandwich.
It's a good sandwich.
All right, let's take a look at some more of the rally speech.
We stared down the unholy alliance of lobbyists and donors and special interests who made a living bleeding our country dry. That's what we've done. We broke down the doors of Washington back rooms where deals were cut to close our companies, give away your jobs, shut down our factories, and surrender your sovereignty and your very way of life, and we've ended it.
So he is still attempting to take credit or pretend as if he drained the swamp, as if he has done anything positive in rolling back government corruption. I mean, what you see in his cabinet, what you've seen in the people who he has decided to appoint for various positions is the very definition of swampy behavior. I mean, we're gonna talk about Patrick Shanahan later, who was the acting defense secretary, not no mores though, and I will tell you why later. But I mean, homeboy worked at Boeing, right? Now he's
his
thinking
replacement worked at Raytheon.
Exactly. So that is the type of, we talk about the revolving door of politics. That's certainly part of the corruption. He hasn't done anything about money in politics. He's receiving massive campaign donations. He received massive donations for his inauguration from all sorts of corporations, including private prisons, who are looking for favors from Donald Trump. So he hasn't carried out any of the promises that he made to his voters. He's done the exact opposite, and he still somehow miraculously takes credit. It's amazing.
That messaging of targeting lobbyists, targeting the elite interests. I mean, he's correct in doing so. Like, he's correct in doing that on a messaging standpoint, because it is a fact that those people are sucking us dry. The question, and for whatever reason, and we can talk about this ad nauseum, but for whatever reason, Trump sounds credible to a significant chunk of people when he delivers that message. The Democrats before weren't countering that message by saying, we don't like the lobbyists and all that stuff either. And they didn't have an effective messenger to deliver that message, but that is a broadly popular sentiment. There is this feeling that there are these interests in Washington who control everything in the back rooms and rig stuff to help themselves against everyone else. I mean,
and that anger is certainly warranted, but Maz, do you think that it's going to be different this time around? Because while Hillary Clinton didn't touch on that at all.
No, absolutely. Listen, absolutely not. Again, this goes back to he's giving this speech and saying what he's doing. I mean, basically, his hotel in Washington, all these foreign governments are coming staying at his hotel. So if you want swamp, I mean, he's the swampiest of the swamps. You got the whole Jared Kushner thing with the Chinese visas that they were given for exchange for investments in their. I mean, the family is benefiting. Let's start with that swamp. You got your Scott Pruitts. You got your, you got your Rex Tillerson from the oil. I mean, it's just, it is so blatantly obvious. But what happens is, and I say this like even in the beginning, if you had put him on paper, New York elite billionaire, these people that he got to vote for him would have said, that's who we're hating. And he was over there going, we got to get these elites out. Well, you're one of the elites, dude. And so going back to why do they follow him? It's the populist message. It's also, I do feel there's a lot of this I think there's a racism thing there, I believe. I think it's very easy to go, the immigrants are taking your jobs, black people are doing this, doing that. And finally, they're like, finally, someone's speaking my language, and whatever you say, I'm gonna listen to, and I'm gonna close my eyes to the fact that you are the swamp. He is the swamp, but they sit there and keep cheering him on.
Maggie Haberman at the Times went to the rally, which I'd be terrified if I were Maggie Haberman, considering some of the reporting she's done on Trump. But anyway, she goes and she actually speaks to the rally goers and says, look, Trump is trying to identify himself as this underdog. Do you think he's an underdog? And every single person she asked said no. So while he might attempt to push this "I'm not an elitist" message, I don't know if it's gonna work this time around. I guess we'll see. But going back to the point regarding how he's just bringing back his greatest hits from 2016, here's another example of him doing just that.
We went through the greatest witch hunt in political history. The only collusion was committed by the Democrats, the fake news media and their operatives, and the people who funded the phony dossier, crooked Hillary Clinton and the DNC.
I get that some of his voters find him entertaining, but you can only watch the same rerun over and over again so many times, right? I mean, it's a lie. We've already like dissected that argument a million times, but he keeps saying it. I feel like at this point, all he needs to do is mention Hillary Clinton, and then his crowd goes wild. She's in the woods. Why? Like, do you have? He has nothing. He has nothing. He can't turn to what he's accomplished because he hasn't accomplished anything
except for the tax cuts.
Except for the tax cuts, which are not popular among voters. And the reason why they're not popular is because we're not idiots. I mean, we all get our paychecks. We all see what the tax cuts did for us as working class and middle class Americans. But the vast majority of wealthy Americans got massive tax cuts, which is why Amazon got away with paying nothing in federal taxes last year.
It's crazy, but I mean, I've been to a couple of Trump rallies in the past, in the last election cycle, and it is a kind of very bizarre experience. It is kind of seeing like a comedian on this like open night, just kind of riffing. And he is quite good at feeling the crowd and seeing like what's playing and what's not. Like like sometimes you can see the prompter and he like abandons a certain line that's like not really playing, and then he just kind of goes off script and whatever. But like you said, your first reaction is that he's recycling everything. But like you're a comedian, like how does Trump recycle his material? How do you refresh the material when you're running out of ideas?
Well, I think a big part of it is there's no logic here, right? In terms of, again, you look at what Mueller said, you look at you read some of the report, and there's all these possible obstruction. There's a lot of stuff there. Even the interview he did with Stephanopoulos, who says, he goes, there's no collusion. He goes, well, Mueller didn't say there's no collusion. He said that he couldn't go after collusion. And he goes, no, he said there's no collusion.
And then he walks out of the car.
And he walks out of the car. Yeah. So there's no logic here. It's all emotions. And that's kind of what happens in a comedy show. Or in my case, I'll take comedian, but I would also say almost like a cult leader of sorts. It's all emotions, and they're going, whatever he says, we believe. We think he is. Of course, he's right. This was a waste of money. And by the way, he would be, and he is, a genius PR person. Like he would be so great as the head of a publicity firm because he can just twist things. He took the whole Mueller investigation and turned it now into the waste of money. Now we're gonna go investigate them. Now he flips it, and now his people, again, emotionally, there's no logic there. No one's sitting there going like, oh, I read it, and you know what? I have my doubts. Like nobody's sitting there raising their hands going like, dude, hold on a second. There might have been, they're all going like, yeah, whatever you say. It is a cult, it's a cult of sorts.
Yeah, look, I think this is the type of speech, if I were running against him, I would obsessively watch every single one of his speeches. And then every time he lies, or anytime he says something that really resonates with his voters, right? When he pretends like he's draining the swamp, when he pretends like he's looking out for the working class or middle class, all of that stuff. And I would find a way to hit him on those issues and call him out as the liar that he really is. But I would also focus on that message myself, not from a disingenuous place, but from a place of sincerity and actually wanting to do something about some of the economic injustices that he taps into to exploit for his own electoral purposes, right? But I don't know, look, I think that there are some really strong candidates. I think Bernie Sanders already on his own does that, he doesn't really need someone to consult him and tell him to do that. He is sincere and genuine in wanting to solve some of these issues. But my worry is that we will repeat the same mistakes as 2016, right? I watch this speech and I see the reactions from the crowd and I'm like, man, I really hope everyone's watching. On the Democratic side, I really hope they're taking notes, because if they plan on ignoring the anger that these voters feel, and look, I know you're not gonna persuade Trump voters, that's not the point. But my point is having a message that resonates with a broader base of voters who do feel that economic frustration.
Voters in every democracy in the history of the world, vote for things, not against things. In certain very pointed examples you might find, but like in the vast majority of cases, voters are moved to go to the polls and vote for someone because they believe in that positive vision. You can scare them with the big bad Republicans all you want. That's all the Democrats have been doing for the last 20 years. I remember the 2004 election against Bush very well. I mean, like every single celebrity in America did the Vote for Change tour, and Bush was like the big bad wolf.
I remember
but because the Democratic candidate was this wet noodle, John Kerry, he lost. Voters don't vote against people, they vote for people.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.